Hello everyone, thanks for listening again. So this video is dealing with a worker who says that racial profiling led to police pointing a gun at him. So he's afraid, and rightfully so. So let's go into this guy's story. So I felt like it stood out. It said Fort Myers, Florida, I believe, for Michael Sturgis. It was a case of mistaken identity and racial profiling that he said could have cost him his life. So he's 36 years old, Cape Coral man, said at Fort Myers, police officer pointed a gun at him last week while he was working because she confused him for a robbery suspect. Besides being black, Sturgis wore a construction vest like the suspect that they were looking for. But that's where the similarities ended. So the incident happened on July the 2nd as Sturgis waited in a bucket truck for his workday to begin. So he and a co-worker and his foreman watched as crews prepared to close down the traffic so that they could begin down taking down power lines near an intersection. But instead, his day was interrupted by an encounter with the Fort Myers police. So the father of six pleaded, and so he has six children, he pleaded for his innocence. His hands were in the air in hopes that the officer whose gun was pointed at him would not shoot him. So she was very hostile, Sturgis said, adding that he plans to file a complaint against that department because of what he went through. So, how did a routine Tuesday morning go so terribly wrong for Sturgis? So, just north of where Sturgis waited, police got a report of a. Now, listen to this description here. The report says a black man aged 31 and 31 to 35 years of age who allegedly entered a payday loan store, demanded money from the worker, and fled. How many black males could fit that description? Doesn't give you very much. It says a black man aged 31, between the ages of 31 to 35. That's it. And it says the workers said the man wore black jeans, construction boots, a green vest, and a floppy hat, according to, okay, so there's a little bit more, but still, you know, it's still a little more, I would say, on the vague side because there's a lot of black men that could be wearing those type of clothes or something similar onto it. So soon after the robbery, three Fort Myers police officers stopped and asked Sturgis' crew if they saw anything out of the ordinary, and they hadn't. So Sturgis said that they told them this. So they told us about a robbery, and then we had no idea about it, and they had no idea about it, and they were cooperative with them, he said. But they said that the suspect had on a work vest like you guys, and were told they were telling them that we didn't see anyone or anybody they they left. Okay, so here he is. Here you get to see a picture of him, and I mean, there's a lot of guys I see, even in the, even in Los Angeles, that are dressed like that. They're working for a company or something like that. So about 15 to 20 minutes, Sturgis was still waiting for a lane closure when another officer arrived and Sturgis was perched on the passenger seat of the work truck and the door opened and his legs outside of the vehicle. And then he said he was looking at his phone and didn't hear the first command to get out of the vehicle. That's scary because more oftentimes those stories don't end up like this. They end up in a tragedy where they thought the phone or they perceive the phone as being a gun or a weapon and then they just start shooting. So fortunately for him, this didn't end this type of way. But the only thing that I could say, it says that here it says, I got a gun. He said he got a gun drawn and she was scared. She scared the hell out of him. And when that happened, you understand, Sturgis said, you understand what happens next. But the only thing that I could say is that I didn't do anything, he said. Because he didn't know what was going on. You know, the person they were looking for, it wasn't him, so he didn't know what to do except follow their command. But he didn't hear the first command, and so he was laxed about getting out and doing what they asked him to do. And you know, he's in his work clothes. He's at work. He's not. He's not running. He's not in on the street by himself, like out in the open with outside of work, in other words. So Sturgis said that he was profiled because the only similarity that he had with the suspect was the race and the construction vest that he wears for work. So his co-workers who was with him at the time had was confronted by the officers was white, okay? Sturgis said. So Sturgis was handcuffed for a few minutes and three other officers returned to the scene. I pointed at the officer with my hands cuffed and was like, that's the officer right there we pretty much talked to earlier. And I was just saying, please, could you uncuff me? So could you let me go? I didn't do anything, Sturgis said. So he was eventually released after being searched. And by then, Sturgis said that he felt like he had been harassed by the police after that incident. So the next day, Sturgis, and so excuse me for mispronouncing his name, said that he had saw a picture of the suspect that was shared by the police department on social media. So when they did find the picture of the suspect, it was shared on social media, and the picture that I had of the suspect looked nothing like him. Okay. So Sturgis said this. So I can see in the picture I'm much bigger than the suspect, and the guy that I am seeing is very skinny and he's very small. So Sturgis called and left a message at the Fort Minor Police Department, Chief Derek Diggs, after the incident. And so he said that he did not hear from the chief, but he got a call from the captain, Bill Newhouse, who oversees internal affair investigations. So Sturgis also went to the Lee County chapter NAACP on Wednesday. So I came here to get some type of closure about the situation, Sturgis said. I'm scared and I feel like I needed to talk to somebody. So Sturgis left a complaint form and he expected to fill it out and turn it into the police department. Okay. Okay, so I apparently believe that he must have done that. So Fort Myers Deputy Police Chief Jeffrey Myers confirmed that the agency is investigating but declined to comment as they usually do. And so here he is here. So he said he saw the picture, but it didn't look anything like him. The other guy was a lot smaller than him in stature, and he was a lot bigger guy. So I have a family, Sturgis said. I'm a hardworking man, and I try to be positive in the community. For that to happen to someone who is doing good, I mean, clients could view you, look at you differently, and stuff like that. So by him being in the workplace and then the police harassing him right there, singling him out, it also looked bad on his job. So he said that he was disappointed with the behavior of the officers at the time when he was at work. And so in my mind, I am still like distraught about it, Sir Stead. So I'm afraid right now, and I don't know what to expect when I'm looking out at an officer or when I'm close by an officer or an officer is behind me. So he's now has paranoia about the situation because it must have been extremely bad because of having a gun pointed at your head or wherever on you and you could have gotten shot because you simply looked like or fit a description of someone else who wasn't even, you're not even that person. And that we've heard stories like that. So this is not the first time or first accusation that have been made against the Fort Myers Police Department. So in 2017, the city of Fort Myers settled a lawsuit by NFL star Nate Allen for a wrongful arrest in 2015, if you guys remember that. The city paid out $440,000 for mistaking Allen for a suspect who exposed himself to a teenage victim. So in that case, the officers were looking for a mixed race man in his 40s or 50s with gray-white goatee. Allen was in his 20s and at the time had little to no facial hair at all. And so I don't know if you remember that far back, but this is the same police department who did that to an NFL star. And it was simply because of the race and, not really being carefully reviewing the descriptions of people. How do you feel about the facial recognition thing? A lot of people are complaining about that. I know this is going on sort of off a little bit on a tangent, but what I'm hearing to relate it to this story is that the facial recognition can sometimes mistake people too. It has glitches that it's not as foolproof as people would like it to be, or they think it would to be. And so just think of it. You can get a lot of African American people that look similar, have similarities. And if they're looking for somebody that is a criminal, like such as what happened with this guy here, they can mistakenly mistake you for somebody that has been in trouble with the law simply because you match some similar descriptions based on your facial features or race. And so that's a scary thought, to have technology do facial recognition and then they recognize you, but recognize you as somebody else. Have you ever thought about it like that? But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to let this story go, but it's sad because we've heard these stories before, and a lot of times they end in a person losing their life. And so I understand what this guy must have been feeling at the time to have those police officers on him and a gun pointed to his head. And so a lot of times people will go and sue a police department because he could have gotten killed. He says that the police officer was hostile towards him. And so it's a scary thought, that you can be at your job even. And, even though he wasn't killed, how do you think now, like he says, the clients and the people at his job are going to treat him now? Now that they know the story is out and they know that he wasn't one, but just the whole episode of him being harassed there, what that leaves behind. Well, with that being said, I'm going to let this video go. Likes, comments, feedback. Thank you for listening.